Little did he know, while he thought he was the only absolute god in this other world, encountering another god-level being made him realize that he wasn't the strongest after all. As it turns out, giving up just one of the 3 desires before being summoned is enough to step into the realm of an absolute god. But unaware of this, our protagonist and his team were still worrying about money upon arriving in the new city. Since monsters here don't drop gold to live a stable life, he simply couldn't escape the need to work. However, ordinary jobs only cover the bare minimum. To ensure everyone lived well, Jiangsu decided to pay the casino a visit. His goal wasn't to get rich overnight, but to gather intelligence. As the casino attracted people from all walks of life, the plan went smoothly for the rest of the team. But things took a sharp turn for the protagonist, whose distinctive looks drew immediate disgust from everyone the moment he showed his face. Meanwhile, Shenhua was having a blast. What started as casual fun turned into a nightmare for the protagonist when he checked the balance. A 50 lira principal had plummeted to 30 in a flash. While the protagonist was stressing out, a man in sunglasses approached, claiming to be the lobby manager. He invited Shenhua to a VIP room for a chat. Greatly impressed by her bold playstyle, she went all in on every single game, leaving no doubt that she must be a lady from a wealthy family. For such high-profile guests, the casino offers premium services with even more thrilling games and experiences. If you're interested in giving it a try, it's offering a free lifetime membership card. As the saying goes, when things are too good to be true, there's always a catch. Even someone as naive as Shenhua knows that. So at the protagonist's suggestion, he said he needed to discuss it with his friends first. Waitian didn't object to this, but as soon as they left the room, Liz's expression turned grim. Her intuition told her that under certain conditions, this Waitian guy could pose a threat even to the protagonist, an absolute god, because his status memo says never be deceived, annihilate them, squeeze the rich dry and cast them into hell. Clearly he sees Shenhua as a lamb to the slaughter. Cheng'e sees intel further confirmed these suspicions. He inquired about those who had applied for high-paying jobs and found that every single one of them led to the casino. In fact, 99 of candidates were rejected at the interview stage alone. He eventually tracked down an insider whose close friend once worked here as a detective's assistant, but a few months later, he vanished. Not only was his home leveled to the ground, but even his official records were wiped clean. The local authorities wouldn't even accept a missing persons report, as if he had never existed in the first place. And Liz produced another piece of evidence that she found at the casino's back door upon opening it. Everyone was horrified to find it contained human fingers. With such damning evidence, the protagonist and his crew couldn't just stand by. Surprisingly, Shenhua volunteered to go undercover. They'll use Waitian's invitation as their perfect way in. The lead tried to talk them out of it, but Cheng Sai and Shenhua were already brimming with justice. Liz suspects that the enemy has the ability to see through any lie, and their special ability triggers right after. We must be extremely careful. Whatever you do not lie at the critical moment. Liz will also step in to help, as there is more to her status description. If true evil appears, she will transform into a messenger of hell, charging forward to purge all darkness. So after preparing themselves, the group split up the next day. Shenhua disguised himself as a socialite to enter the casino. As for Wei Tian's ability, there was no need to worry. The lead had already briefed him before. The strategy was to evade questions without actually telling a lie. Unlike the casino operating on the surface, staff in the underground area far outnumbered the guests. A blonde-haired man received Shenhua, while the lead was dismissed as a mere bodyguard. Using his super sight skill, he noticed that every time Wei Tian spoke, a henchman in the distance would record the guests' detailed information.
Is that a 0? No, wait, this number is astronomical. The stats are peaking. The amount of zeros is unbelievable. The lead wasn't lying there. Really were quite a few zeros on his status panel.
This led the enemy to assume he belonged to a warrior class, thinking they could easily take him down with magic. Once Wei Tian left to attend to other business, their plan officially went into motion. Feng Hua's job was to make things difficult for the blonde staffer, stalling for as much time as possible without wasting money. Meanwhile, the lead pretended to have a stomach ache to go to the restroom, using his transformation skill to become a bat and follow Wei Tian to his office. To play it safe, he even cast a spatial magic spell, so he could teleport there instantly if anything went wrong. Afterward, Oda stood before the statue, muttering to himself, which allowed the protagonist to learn about his tragic past. It turns out that before being reincarnated, Wei Tian was an honest, law-abiding man. But because his parents refused to relocate, a real estate company colluded with thugs to forcefully demolish their home, destroying everything. Determined to get revenge on these greedy elites, Wei Tian bided his time for years before finally eliminating them. Yet, once his goal was achieved, and he was ready to end his own life, the chance to travel to another world suddenly appeared. He thought his parents were calling him, but upon arriving, he realized the truth. The weak were still being exploited by the wealthy. Thus, he abandoned all hope and vowed to punish the rich, liberating them through their own suffering. Just then, two of his lackeys approached him. Seemed Shenko was complaining about being bored and wanted to leave. Even though the blonde lackey tried his best to handle it, it was no use. Oda was all too familiar with dealing with guests like her. Strategy number 13 would be enough to handle the situation. Both lackeys claimed they understood, but Oda detected that one of them was lying.
You're the one. No, not you.
The blonde lackey clearly remembered strategy 13. Let the guests win a little first, to get them hooked on the game, which was how he narrowly escaped a grim fate. Based on these events, the protagonist had essentially figured out the mechanics of Oda's ability. In a flash, Shenhua had already won 2 million. This was because every time he placed a bet, he went all in. If he kept playing, the casino would likely go bankrupt. The blonde lackey had no choice but to report back to Oda. Upon their return, the blonde guy had clearly been beaten up, and Oda invited Seika to an even more thrilling location. The casino's final floor. Dozens of chimeras were imprisoned here, forced to fight each other in death matches for gambling. The protagonist decided it was time to withdraw, though he reminded Seika that they needed to find Chensi. Suspecting nothing, Oda politely suggested that she should bring her friends along next time. In the elevator, Seika noticed the blonde guy's facial injuries and told him to crouch down. She cast healing magic on the spot, making no effort to hide her identity as a healer. Deeply moved by her kindness, the blonde guy hesitated before finally revealing the casino's dark secrets. Oda actually preys on the lives of the wealthy. Many of his own staff have been brutally murdered. He himself had been too terrified to even attempt an escape. He hoped that once Seika left, she would expose the truth to the world, so that a hero might eventually come to save them. However, no sooner had the words left his mouth than he was stunned to see a real hero appear right before his eyes. Still, defeating Oda would be no easy task. After all, anyone who lied to him had their abilities and lives drained away, and must remain extremely vigilant when facing him. Soon an underling realized the blonde guy had turned traitor and rushed down to tip Oda off. While the others were waiting for the elevator, Seika quietly transformed into her angel form and approached. Since Chensi had never seen her like this, Seika claimed to be the Sun Saint Alcaroni, stating she was sent by a young girl to assist them. She offered to provide healing magic for everyone.
With every color as a sign, you are. So, get up and move. Hurry!
As they spoke, a little devil descended from the sky. Anyone could tell at a glance that it was Liz, but she tried to hide her identity, clearly not wanting her brother Chengsi to find out. After claiming she was also there to punish the villains and could manifest weapons at will, Liz provided each of them with one. Just then the elevator ascended once more, but as they reached the lowest floor, they found the informant henchman had already been murdered. At Vida's command, the synthetic beasts in the cages were immediately unleashed. Noticing the bound hostages nearby, the protagonist decided to prioritize the rescue, leaving the synthetic beasts to his teammates. Liz charged ahead, cleaving through the flames with a pure physical strike. He warned everyone that the beasts were level 80 with a dark attribute. Chengsi's holy attacks should be the perfect counter, and so seizing a moment of weakness.
As a reciprocal gift, after number 2 quickly provided treatment, another wave of synthetic beasts was released.
At this rate, a war of attrition was clearly not sustainable. The protagonist decided to strike at the leader, but to be safe, he inflicted a slow debuff on the beasts before leaving. Meanwhile, Vida was throwing a fit in the monitoring room. The protagonist initially tried to reason with him, but Vida refused to listen. He even bragged about being over level 500, claiming that even an army of millions could not stop him. Protagonist could only let out a heavy sigh, for Vida had already become the very person he once loathed, becoming no different from the people he used to despise. Vida watched the scene in utter disbelief, simply because very few people in this world are capable of even hurting him. Though Oda didn't know how the maxi stat points were allocated, he judged from prior intel that magic attacks were likely one of his few weaknesses. He then summoned his ultimate masterpiece, a chimera with level and stats, all at 9,999. Even calling it a god would not be an exaggeration.
This sounds truly awful.
Oda was completely dumbfounded by what he saw. Little did he know the spell the MC unleashed was of the highest tier, a whole rank above his Thunder of the Gods. The reason a warrior class can use magic is because he is an absolute god. Every single stat is 1 trillion, so there are plenty of zeros to go around. Even though his skills confirmed the MC wasn't lying, Oda still refused to accept the reality of the situation and charged at the protagonist once more. Just as the MC was about to put him out of his misery, the unexpected happened. A spear plummeted from the sky and instantly pierced Oda's chest. It was so fast that even the MC couldn't track its trajectory. A moment later, a woman wearing an eye patch slowly descended. It turned out she was the one who originally sent the Chimera researchers, but Oda had disposed of them and stolen the skill for himself. He had truly become far too arrogant.
consider this your end.
On that day, those who could not understand the melody, the MC was shocked to learn that he wasn't the only absolute god in this world, and that his counterpart was a woman.
He sensed that getting too close to her would be extremely dangerous. However, the eye patch woman was intrigued by him, and even invited him to join her organization, the Spear of Order. In simple terms, it's an alliance formed by transmigrators. It's full of people with powers too eccentric for normal life, or outlaws who have been running wild in this other world. Sanye, for instance, fits right in as his looks are clearly bottom tier. However, to become an absolute god, that sacrifice alone is clearly not enough. Judging by how he can't bring himself to get close to women, the sacrifice must be that specific one of the 3 desires.
Yo, take a look.
Since he is also an absolute god like her, the girl in the eye patch believes they can truly understand each other, though she is very eager to become his friend. To the MC, making a friend is fine, but he has no intention of joining her organization because he has a much more important mission to fulfill, guiding his companions to their ultimate goal. The eye patch girl wants she's welcome to join them. The MC is quite satisfied with his own response. But then the eye patch girl insists on becoming an obstacle in his path. One has to wonder if she's a bit unstable. Just as things were getting awkward, the dying rider actually stood back up. The red flames signify that his ability is ready to trigger at any moment.
So, no, I shouldn't have made this new today. Right, so...
See you again. Bye. Oh my god. Katina,
And that concludes the main plot of episode 6-8 of Fat Otaku Hero. As we've seen, being an absolute god doesn't mean being invincible. Even with insane stats, one can still be bound by specific mechanics. Vida's ability relies entirely on lies as long as the opponent doesn't lie. He won't trigger even if he's right in front of them, and even if the conditions are met, he must physically touch the target in order to absorb their life and abilities. But the catch is the woman in the eye patch won't give him any chance to get near her. As for why our hero was so shocked by the spear's appearance, it's because even he couldn't react in time. First of all, his stat points haven't been fully allocated yet, so his overall stats were already lagging behind hers. Secondly, and most importantly, the eye patch woman sacrificed 2 desires, one more than our protagonist, which makes her overall power slightly superior. Clearly, this encounter is far from over, so we can certainly look forward to what happens next.